Oh wow, food. Are we really still fat shaming people in 2022? The amount of people who can't understand that fat shaming is bad and fat acceptance is good is astounding to me. None of these people are actually worried about Lizzo's health, and none of these people are actually worried about what doctors say. And by the way, doctors still say to lose weight. No, in general, the fat shamers are people who've never had to deal with weight issues themselves, who are just projecting their own insecurities and also their urge to be part of an in-group. If any of these people really cared, they'd look up studies that showed that excess body weight can be 80% attributable to genetics. If any of these people actually cared, they'd look at the food industry, which makes the bulk of its profits off of unhealthy, high-caloric food. Finally, if any of these people really cared, they'd look up studies that show that fat acceptance helps people lose weight instead of the opposite, but they'd rather just be bullies. Food!
You need to be aware of a new form of conversion therapy that is recently becoming popular. It's called gender exploratory therapy, and it targets trans people. The way that it works is it seeks to explore all possible reasons that a trans person could be trans other than being trans. They will always reject the idea that the person is trans. And what they do is they hold treatments and hormone therapy and puberty blockers just out of reach while they explore this other reason for being trans. Note, they will never accept a trans identity. The idea is to run the clock out on puberty and to force the trans person to go as far into puberty as possible, so that way the trans person feels like they cannot transition anymore. This form of conversion therapy is currently being pushed by many different organizations. GenSpect, SEGM, Transgender Trend. It's a who's who list of anti-trans orgs. However, it's also being promoted by the Catholic Psychotherapy Association and Chastity International, two organizations that support conversion therapy. It would be really easy for well-meaning parents to get swept into gender exploratory therapy. That's why it's really important that we come out and let it be known that this practice is barbaric.
We are too comfortable not doing anything. I only want the collective who are actually interested in getting justice for Jaheim to continue to watch this video. A 15-year-old black boy, a child, died, and that needs to be taken way more seriously. These police officers have no empathy towards black life. Jaheim's hands was up and he was unarmed. They shot at his head and proceeded to shoot at him 7 more times, even though he's already bleeding out on the ground, and then put handcuffs on his lifeless body and leaving him with no medical treatment. We deserve so much more than being their target. I was going to say practice, but this is what they trained for killing us within our own low-income black and brown communities. No remorse towards life. These police gangs will not stop until we make it stop as a community. And these celebrities aren't going to be the ones who bring change. It's going to be the people who are like you and me. You do not need a following to speak up on behalf of Jaheim McMillan and his family. You just have to have the heart to do it. Stop being complicit in racism and pick a side, because not picking a side is picking a side. February 4th, we are going out for another protest, and we need the whole TikTok community to show up, demanding the immediate release of the body cam footage. We need our black and brown communities united. We need everyone to get to Gulfport, Mississippi if you can, but if you can't, we want you to organize something in your own state and shut down Family Dollars nationwide. I need you to screenshot this flyer and post it everywhere on your TikTok, on your Instagram account. Your following, again, does not matter. We need this to just spread like wildfire. If you do not follow me and Free My People on Instagram, you are making a mistake. That is where the information is. I come on here to update you about the information that's going to be on my Instagram and on Free My People's Instagram. We have to make this go national. We have to make the news report on it because we're talking about it so much. The power is in our hands, and y'all need to see that. The videos on my TikTok and my Instagram, share the information out, click the link in our Free My People bio, and get the word out there. And we need numbers. For y'all to think that we can't do this without numbers is beyond insane. You do not need to have experience to join, just the heart to learn. But if you do have experience, bring it all in. Fight for your community as hard as these white people would fight for this country. We're fundraising $10,000 to go down to Mississippi to support his family. Asking for people to match donations of $200 or $100, but if you can't do that, anything is accepted. We need to raise the funds before the end of this month. So please donate up here. The first thing the police sees is a color. So before you don't do anything, it could be you next.
So I just saw a video on my For You page about a girl saying that she is extremely blue, but her type of man is a Republican. Saw another video about a girl who married and she was like, oh, I'm a feminist, and like her husband's a misogynist. She's like, oh, because opposites attract. And that brings me to my argument that I have made since the day I received consciousness and learned how to read a book. And I will argue until the day I die and I'm in front of our Lord and Savior. I will argue at the pearly gates like my fucking soul depends on it. Making white women the face of feminism will forever get us nowhere, has always gotten us nowhere. You wonder why our rights keep being revoked, why we're out here fighting for our lives every 4 years, is because there are a lot of, I'm going to say it again, white women who believe that politics and values are just funny personality quirks. They're just things that you talk about at dinner parties, just a fun thing to discuss and not life or death issues. Like, could you imagine laying up in bed every night with somebody who thinks that you shouldn't have rights? Could you imagine getting pregnant and giving birth to someone's children? God forbid you have daughters. And not to get too controversial and push it, but I will, because who's gonna fight me? When it's time to vote and they come out with like the statistics and the percentages, and then people are always just like, oh my God, why would you vote against, why would they vote against their best interests? They aren't, because before they're women, they're white. It's this belief that their whiteness will always protect them from bigotry. When they're at polls voting, they're voting for hypothetical situations. This stuff will never touch their doorstep. So my point in saying all this is the next time that you're out and about and you're talking to your colleague or maybe to a family member or maybe you're on the internet, you see one of these things, and the girl's like, well, obviously, like, I believe that everyone should have rights and everyone should have food and somewhere to live. And I believe that women should have the rights over their bodies. But my husband doesn't really think so. But we just don't talk about it like that, okay? It's not that big of a deal. She's a bigot. She's a bigot. Just at least her husband has the nerve to be bold and loud about it. She's a bigot. Making white women the face of feminism will forever get us nowhere.
Maybe she ain't wrong. Were you aware that in the early 1900s there was such a thing as anti-suffragettes, literal white women who fought against women having a right to vote in this country? Here's some of the propaganda they used. The appeal of womanhood. You already know what this implies. Hugging a delusion. Angry. He's only a mere man. Girls are doing all the fellows' jobs now. Oh, but wait, here's another one. I don't like to see a woman do a man's work. She probably do it better. This one is hilarious. Look, the light done gone out. The child got holes in her side. He can't do shit, I guess. What will men wear? Where women vote, there is no rest. Bitch, what? I never said all white women and hit dogs holler, so keep it out my comment.
This is disgusting. Why do you speak like this? Like what, face-sitting? Oh, yeah, I mean, the video's about being autistic and struggles with physical intimacy. I can't tell you how many times I've heard the F word in your videos, or the lewd jokes, it's just... So, what's the issue exactly? You never know who's watching your videos. Are you wanting to talk about age-appropriate content, or what exactly? Let me give you a little advice. I know you're not in academia per se, but you're trying to educate people, right? Yeah, absolutely. We need better mental health education. Educators shouldn't speak like this. Oh, I see. Good. I see what you're doing. You're gatekeeping. Don't use your internet buzzwords on me. Yeah, this isn't new. I am far from an educator, but academia has been gatekeeping what we see as intelligence by way of speech and grammar since as long as it's been around. Why wouldn't we? Good grammar is a sign of intellect. Sure. Yeah. So we're on the same page then? Nope, because you think it's the only sign of intellect. If you can't form a proper sentence, how intelligent can you be? Extremely. It's not that hard. It might be if you were raised somewhere that didn't observe your grammatical rules, or maybe you're autistic, or someone might be really good at math, or science, or learning, or a million different things besides grammar. But it's the basis for good communication. So then why do professional speechwriters aim for a 6th grade reading level? I mean, that's what all the American classics are written at too. I'm not taking issue with your grammar. Your grammar's fine. It's the dirty language and the lewd humor. No, but wait, that's what I'm saying is we put this arbitrary importance on floral language in grammatical rules that oftentimes actually hamper communication. It's just art. Okay, whatever. If the goal is to learn, you need to communicate effectively. I said your communication is fine, it's the language. And you need to keep them interested. That's how you get people to learn. But there's a proper way to do it. Okay, what do you teach? Geography. How's that going for you? What? Teaching them the proper way. Just like every other subject. I have some star students and some that don't care, and everything in between. So why not make it interesting? Because I'm preparing my students for the real world where they have to be able to do hard things. Instead of fighting them, why can't we help them? Then they don't learn to do hard things. Making things interesting just gives them the motivation to do hard things. It's just not how it's done. The same way that we've been distracted by who can use the biggest words, we've been distracted by this idea that learning has to be puritanical. You're clearly not open to listening, when really we should be focused on effective ways to communicate, and effective, respectful ways to keep people's interest. You clearly have no respect for yourself or the institution of education. No, I don't. I care more about helping people learn than an institution. You are a little shit, aren't you? Oh.
If you scroll, you hate black people. Just kidding. Where am I? First off, hi, welcome back. It's been a little bit of a hiatus, but we're gonna finish this thing out. Welcome back to Is It White Supremacy, where I, your host, Shaheem, walk you through 15 different aspects of white supremacy culture. Again, if you say you want racism gone in this lifetime, it's important for you to know what it looks like. Don't you fucking scroll. I saw you. Get it together. Don't scroll. Stay here. Okay, so far we've covered right to comfort, perfectionism, sense of urgency, defensiveness, quantity over quality, worship of the written word, only one right way, paternalism, either or thinking, power hoarding, fear of open conflict, individualism, I'm the only one, and today we're gonna do progress is bigger, more. Don't scroll. We're right here with each other. Stay put. Per usual, I know y'all motherfuckers don't like to read. It's okay, I don't like to read all the time either. That doesn't make you a bad person. So I'm gonna read with y'all. You can read along if you want to, all right? Point 1, it is observed in systems of accountability in the ways we determine success. I will say to that, I say, what accountability? Am I right, people? This, in my opinion, though, can all be boiled down to there being too many chefs in the kitchen and overly convoluted, overly bureaucratic systems that actually don't do the things that they say that they seek to do. I say this as a social worker. Throwing money into systems that are just simply broken or simply work the way that they were designed to and harm marginalized people or patriarchy impacted people, it's just not the solution, because bigger is not the only way of progress. Don't fucking scroll. Yeah, you thought I forgot. Sit your ass down. Thank you. But this bleeds into point 2, which is that progress is an organization which expands, adds staff, adds projects, or develops the ability to serve more people regardless of how well they are serving them. I work with foster children. I think that's enough of an example on that one. This last one is the most important one to this tenet of white supremacy, in that it gives no value, not even negative value, to its cost. Okay, some examples of that include increased accountability to funders as the budget grows. It doesn't do that. It also doesn't take into account the ways in which the people that they serve can be exploited, and it also doesn't factor in, sorry, I'm trying to read at the same time. It also doesn't factor in the quality of the service. It only focuses on the amount of people it serves. That is the nonprofit industrial complex in a nutshell. But this is something that can show up in any level of society, interpersonally included. Like, think of people who are hyperfixated on the amount of friends they have that are diverse and not the quality of relationships with them or their cultures. Think of aestheticizing equity as opposed to enacting equity. The solution? Focus on the quality. That's it. You can scroll now. And yeah, leave some feedback below. Thanks. Have a nice
Oh wow, food. Are we really still fat shaming people in 2022? The amount of people who can't understand that fat shaming is bad and fat acceptance is good is astounding to me. None of these people are actually worried about Lizzo's health, and none of these people are actually worried about what doctors say. And by the way, doctors still say to lose weight. No, in general, the fat shamers are people who've never had to deal with weight issues themselves, who are just projecting their own insecurities and also their urge to be part of an in-group. If any of these people really cared, they'd look up studies that show that excess body weight can be 80% attributable to genetics. If any of these people actually cared, they'd look at the food industry, which makes the bulk of its profits off of unhealthy, high-caloric food. Finally, if any of these people really cared, they'd look up studies that show that fat acceptance helps people lose weight instead of the opposite, but they'd rather just be bullies. Food!
I
cannot tell you how many times I have been over to my white friend's house just for them to tell me later all the racist things their parents said about me after I left. Like, I don't know about you, maybe this is just like a me thing, but I just don't find racism like funny. It reminds me of when Sydney Sweeney tried gaslighting people of color into thinking that her mom's Trump-themed birthday party wasn't racist. Because, like, I mean, they're your family, sure. You can't unthrow a birthday party, but you can choose not to post pictures of yourself associating with racists. And I'm not asking people to cut off their family or stop attending events or even start those uncomfortable conversations. I'm simply asking you, why is this funny to you? Why would you want people to know that you find it acceptable and entertaining to be complacent to bigotry? Because white people pull this all the time and then get upset when called out on it. It's like, what did you think the response was gonna be?
Can I show you guys something? So I came across this video in my For You page and something in the comments interested me. The OG video was pretty basic. It was basically just this guy saying, like, it's stupid that guys ask, are you really gonna let your girlfriend wear that in public? Because, like, obviously you can't control what women wear. And this guy in the comments says, females gon' love this one. But then the replies to that are women saying, yeah, we do love that. And I find that so interesting because the original commenter and the original poster are both presumably straight men who presumably like and want to attract women. But there are guys in the comments clowning on this man for doing things women like. It's almost as if to many straight men, being in a relationship is not about wanting to have a healthy partnership with your girlfriend, but rather about external male validation. Talking about your attraction to women in a way that pleases the boys.
Shit like this brings the movement down. Everyone's a feminist until there is a spider around.